It's always been a little DIY, do it yourself here at Mr. Super Oz. But the thing is, things have gotten better since November of 2021. Their graphics, I'm not so and then I hit an But the fact is, some of the early content was good, and so I'm trying a thing today where 2 years later I'm re uploading a conversation about legacy with Brandon Robinson. And so after the open rolls, a new and improved version of the original legacy conversation is going out 2 years later. Check it out. Hope you enjoy.
This week's episode is special. It's not just Mr. Super Oz, it's Mr. Super Oz and friends, Mr. Friend, Brandon Robinson.
Hello.
Me and Brandon were talking over the weekend, and what we both considered an interesting topic came up, so I'll let him begin because it was his idea.
All right. So the topic is about legacy characters, but more specifically, for legacy, what makes a character's legacy, what makes him important? And if that importance of that character changes, is that really a good thing or is it a bad thing? Because now what we see in comic books is for a new character to come in, it looks like they have to diminish the old one to make that character seem relevant.
And definitely when I think of legacy, the first the first character that really pops into my head is Dick Grayson, and the fact that without being Batman explicitly, he carries on Bruce's legacy going forward because of all the things that he taught him and how that Bruce tried to instill in him the discipline he needs to move on from the grief that he experienced.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I've had this conversation before, I'm sure with you and other people too, but I feel like all of the Robins before Damian got Bruce ready for having a son, because the training that he gave to Dick made him feel that he was capable. The grief that he experienced with Jason took him to a new place in his own psyche, and then Tim Drake brings him back to a place of a balance because of, you know, the light and the dark. And all three, and then Damian after, are pivotal to his, Bruce's, Batman's, own legacy going forward.
Okay. I mean, now for me, this topic came in my mind with Henry Cavill Superman. Because some people gravitated to, not Josh Whedon's, but Zack Snyder's version. And a lot of people, though, Superman fans were turned off by it. And kind of Oz here, but
well, it's not the Justice League that turned me off, but the beginning of
Man of Steel, Man of Steel, and BVS.
Whew.
And that's the thing that made me think. It's like, okay, so Superman, it's kind of cliche, but it's like truth, justice, and
the American way.
Yeah, in the American way.
Don't worry, I'll keep it going.
And it looks like that, and Zack Snyder's version, that maybe the American way and truth and justice was skewed in a way to maybe make it more realistic. But in doing that, is he even Superman? Can you call him that? Even though the movie is called Man of Steel.
Well, and you have to ask, is that intentional too? Because it does take a step away from the tradition of Superman.
Mm-hmm.
So I hadn't previously considered that, but I personally don't like the multiple 9/11s, all the buildings falling. I don't like the killing of Zod in front of people. Like, even if you 100% believe that's the only way to stop Zod, fly away, please fly away. This is day one of everybody knowing Superman exists, and all these bad things are associated with his good name, or what should be his good name. I will give Zack Snyder credit for the concept of justifying all the buildings coming down with the introduction of Bruce and
BBS.
In Batman vs Superman. Exactly. And once again, I'll say that Zack Snyder's good at listening to people's criticisms, because in Justice League, he gives justification for killing Superman in Batman vs Superman, with that being the thing that leads to the Earthly invasion.
Okay, yeah.
But I still have to say, I don't think that you started in the right place, even though 2 and 3 do their best to say, here's why. I still think the what you did begin with is not you personally, the Zack Snyder. The things Zack Snyder did personally are just the wrong decisions for the character of Superman. Now, I had a personal idea. I know this is off the topic of legacy.
No.
But I had a personal idea after I saw Man of Steel, and then Batman vs Superman. I wanted, when Superman died, for Bruce to say, I'm done being Batman, and don an Owlman cowl, and for Diana to say, okay, I'll be Superwoman, and just say, hey, this was all Earth 2 the whole time. That way we can keep Cavill, we can keep Gal Gadot and Ben Affleck.
Yeah.
Just do a new movie where they're actually the good characters, and so it doesn't wipe away the film, but it just changes what it represented. Okay. So the death of Superman will then make Diana become Superwoman, and Batman becomes Owlman, just so that we can say this was Earth 2 the whole time. It's like Superman didn't do all that bad stuff.
Okay.
But yeah, in the idea of legacy, I just don't think that the beginning of Superman's foundation should be in a place of such destruction. I want it to be, and I'm looking at plenty of examples of, I want it to be in a place of good, truth and justice and all that.
The thing that I took from Man of Steel is like that the world is kind of in turmoil morally, so that's why Superman's morals aren't in question.
I'm sure that's what derives Snyder's vision. I guarantee that you're in the right place, but he just has the wrong character.
Okay.
Hyperion or any number of the many Superman knockoffs could have totally done this. Just don't please do it with Superman himself.
Okay.
Because, I mean, right now we're seeing, I know at the moment it's a rumor, but there's currently a rumor that we're going to have a new death of Clark Kent's Superman to make it so that Jonathan Kent's Superman is the only one in the DC universe.
Oh, in the comic books.
In the comic books,
okay.
yes.
Okay.
Sorry.
I was like, oh.
Yeah, so, not the TV show or movies, but in the
okay.
comic books there's currently a rumor, and the only reason I even give weight to the rumor is because last time there was a Jonathan Kent rumor, or the last couple times, they've come true. Jonathan Kent's leaving home and going to go off with his dead grandpa. Oh, well, that one came true. Strange, but it came true. Jonathan Kent's going to become bisexual. It came true. So now with the current speculation that DC may once again kill Clark Kent, I think that they're probably going down that route of diminishing the former to raise the latter.
Okay.
And so, I mean, I'll ask you, do you think that it's better to destroy the past? Isn't that something Star Wars said in like a trailer, I think?
Oh yeah, Last Jedi. Yeah, just destroy the past and
to what effort I'm not sure, but I know that it is definitely a part of the current state of things. So, do you think that they will go there or should go there?
Yeah, this is a funny topic because Superman is classic.
Of course,
everybody knows him. He's basically, or is, the first superhero.
Yeah, for sure.
So diminishing him to put his son over is going to be a very jarring, especially they aged him up.
Oh, that was
so
another
fast.
shocking development that, I mean, now I can see the why, but again, it seems like an unnecessary why, because not too dissimilar from what they did in why this happened in the Snyder trilogy. I can see why they aged up Jonathan. They don't want a child to be the new face of the franchise. So, they've got to age him up. And they don't want a child to be having a new relationship, maybe.
But to me, in the hands of a good writer, that would be good. Placing kind of a burden on the son if the father dies, and it's like, hey, all this responsibility.
Absolutely.
I think that one would be an interesting concept.
Absolutely. Well, my big fear is that you're not only will you alienate people by killing Clark, but you may turn people against Jonathan altogether. Because of the idea
like
of
Miles
the perception. Thank you, Into the Spider-Verse, for fixing that stuff.
Yes.
But yeah, yes, like Miles Morales is a good example, because when it's perceived that someone could have done good but didn't, just for what reason, and then the perceived reason is so that I can become the successor. Yeah, I don't know. I personally don't think that any property should intentionally downplay its past to upplay its future.
So let's talk about Marvel. Now, who I want to talk about for Marvel is Guardians of the Galaxy. So their legacy is an MCU movie version.
Yes, for sure.
Basically, people don't even really realize the comic book versions were kind of serious in a way, especially like Star-Lord.
Oh, absolutely.
And things like that. So it's like, so is legacy really about popularity, or where people are first introduced to said characters or character, or is it kind of when they began and then it just stays that way?
That's so intriguing, because I think an argument can definitely be made for both directions, because the legacy of our friendship doesn't begin at the beginning of your life. It begins at when we knew each other. And the same goes for me to you. It's not as though everything I ever experienced is foundational to your knowledge of me. It's only from when we knew each other. So, again, that's not the way I anticipated the concept of legacy to go, but it is a great argument that everybody's perception starts at a different place, and for everyone. And I think that one of another Marvel character's issues, this character being Captain Marvel, the Carol Danvers version, I think one of her issues finding her own personal legacy is the fact that the person that she was following up after was wiped away for her to become the captain. Do you think that could be a contributing factor in the idea that they keep restarting her story and trying to find a new foothold?
I think Carol Danvers' issue to me is that what does she really stand for besides just protecting people? I think when that's your only core concept, what can you really do with that besides just be a powerhouse? There's no oomph to her.
Absolutely. Well, going back to our last talk, it's easy to define Superman's moral compass and Batman's too, for that instance. But yeah, I think you're right. Maybe her struggle isn't as much to do with who she followed in the path of, but that she doesn't. Maybe it's that she doesn't have a clear foundation for herself to stand on. Yeah, so that's a good point.
Yeah,
and that really does fit well with the concept of legacy. Maybe you need the right start before you can have a good continuation thereof.
Right, like Deadpool. Completely different when he first started to how he is now.
Absolutely, yeah.
But his legacy...
because he's no longer Deathstroke.
Right, yes, yeah, exactly. But his legacy is a joke character. But
for sure.
Right, but Ryan Reynolds even changed that.
And again, you have to ask, is that a bad thing? I don't think it's a bad thing. I think for him not being a Deathstroke ripoff, 2 thumbs up. Mm-hmm. I think that him introducing, not Ryan Reynolds necessarily, but Deadpool the character, introducing that new wrinkle of breaking the fourth wall and understanding that the story he inhabits is a comic book, I think that is a good legacy for him to have, and not him specifically, but just it's a good place. And so you make a good point that evolution of characters can create a new legacy to move forward from.
Mm-hmm. And a good character whose legacy consistently changes is Moon Knight. But it looks like each character or each writer has their own rendition of Moon Knight, and it just adds on to his complexities of who that character is. Where it's like, hey, this is very interesting for a vigilante, as someone who's schizophrenic, basically, essentially.
Yeah, absolutely. And you got to say that it's not a Batman ripoff,
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
which is what too many people say about the character. Yeah, I definitely I think that you've brought a new perspective to the concept, because for me I tend to be very staunch in my opinions that I want to keep what has come before, which is why when I think about Everlasting Survivors, available on Etsy.com, it's the beginning that lays the groundwork for everything that's to come. And I have years worth of material in my head, and I wouldn't want to continually erase or reboot and change. And I think that's the beauty of independent products, though, is by things staying in one creator's possession or perspective, if you will. It helps keep everything steady. Whereas with the mainstream books, the turnover on teams can really lead to the inconsistencies of characters' foundation. Like we were talking off air about Cyborg. What even is his perceived or not perceived but canonized story?
Legacy. Yeah.
Legacy, exactly.
Because I got introduced to Cyborg from the Teen Titans cartoon on Cartoon Network. That was my first time seeing. But he'd been around for years.
Challenge
before
of the
then.
Super Friends, yeah.
Yeah, and now some people have been introduced to him via the Zack Snyder Justice League movie or the Josh Whedon version.
Right, which two totally different properties.
Right. So it's like
one's not worth watching.
right.
I'll let
Not
you figure out which one which.
Yeah. But it's like, yeah, what is Cyborg's legacy in this comic book world, movie/world?
Well, and I think that you kind of nailed it on the head with the Guardians point. If one big thing just bites into it and it says, this is it, that's everything. That's all you need is that one hit. Or not even hit, but like that one resonating concept. Once you get the thing that people latch onto, that's it. If Cyborg, I don't know if he's going to get a solo film, but if he got a solo film and it was the thing that everybody wanted, that'll be it.
Mm-hmm.
But to my knowledge, there's never been that seminal story that everybody can just, whether it's in animation or live action or even comics. I can't think of the Cyborg story that just it grabs me and I have to keep going with it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's no knock on Cyborg the character. It's just that happens sometimes, and I feel bad for him.
So, I hope new people watched the Legacy video. I hope that if you haven't been subscribed, you do subscribe. And if you haven't picked yourself up a copy of my 68-page graphic novel, Everlasting Survivors, Volume 1, all day long, follow the link in the description of the video. Get yourself a copy. Have a great time. And I hope that this found you well. And I hope this works out. And I'll check out some of the earlier content, see what is worth a re-edit and re-upload.